The Con, Chapter 9. Ethel Grimshaw. Her first appointment at Port Sterling that day was a new one. Ethel Grimshaw, a 69-year-old grandmother. Ethel was dressed in a crisp, most beautifully ironed floral print summer cotton dress. She wore a dainty cardigan with pearl buttons draped around her shoulders against the cool, early spring breeze. As the sinewy-looking woman sat in front of her, her arthritically gnarled fingers fiddled with a neatly pressed, embroidered with a large script font E handkerchief. Anna found it difficult to believe that this Ethel was the same Ethel who was a former trusted colleague of Tony Traponi. Ethel had a hefty mortgage payment due each month. It came through no fault of her own. Her son had a little bit of a gambling habit. To pay off his debts, to help her boy, she'd remortgaged her home. His salary was factored into the lending deal. He was a good boy. He had a good job in one of the factories in Kwinana. He said he'd help her with the monthly payments, as her pension could not possibly cover them. She had not seen him since. Neither had his employer, his wife, or his 3 children. His abandoned wife worked full-time, so Ethel watched the kids in the afternoon, preparing dinner for them, overseeing their homework each school day. Desperate not to lose her home and her ability to help her grandkids, she had to get money. She had been intrigued by all the talk in the press and on television about amphetamine use in Perth. Obviously there was a waiting market for it, and she needed a product that would sell. Ethel signed up for the Seniors Opportunity class. It was sponsored by the local Chamber of Commerce and held at the library, the big one by the new grocery store. There Ethel was encouraged by such a nice young man to learn how to use a computer. At first she was very nervous. She did not even know how to turn it on. That young man was a student from the local technical college, and he coached her through the rudiments of computer use. This built her confidence. The college and the Chamber of Commerce had teamed together to bring the senior citizens in their community into the internet age. Her teachers, especially that young man, she wished she could remember his name, applauded her as she began to grasp how to execute each new task. Ethel was their most glorious success story, and she had the certificate to prove it. She borrowed the money from family members and bought a computer. She surfed the net and learned how to make methamphetamine. She learned about Tony Traponi from his son. She telephoned him at the Guardian corporate offices. She was surprised at how easy it was to reach him. He had such nice offices, with an aquarium. Ethel thought you could judge a man's character by his love of living things, and Tony loved his fish. He had a pretty girl behind the front desk who made her tea. She said the pretty girl gave it to her in a pretty teacup with a matching saucer and one of those expensive biscuits. She said Tony was ever so nice, not like the horrible creature the media makes him out to be. Once he sampled her ice, he was hooked. He said she was his best baker. Ethel knew of the dangers of toxic fumes and explosions. Consequently, she used the shake and bake method. She could only make smaller batches, but she had plenty of time. Most of the needed chemicals were easy to obtain. She had taught herself how to bake. She was very careful to do it precisely and safely, and apparently did a good job. When the over-the-counter medication procurement became difficult, even for a kindly, crisp-looking grandma, Tony made sure she was well supplied. Ethel said that sometimes the effect of the drugs on the youngsters bothered her, but that thought didn't stay with her for very long. She said that she paid off her mortgage in 9 months, and now was living quite comfortable. With this she smiled. Ethel said she was ready to stop baking when the house was paid off, but that Tony himself had come to her home and told her he had an incentive plan. She said Tony said I was his best baker, always reliable. I never mix a bad batch. I won the baking contest. I didn't even know there was a baking contest. The prize was parked in my driveway. It was a brand new bright yellow PT Cruiser. Tony had the seats covered with pale blue leather. He said he did that because he thought I would like it. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. How could I resign when Tony needed me? How indeed. Anna thought Tony probably earned a better return on that car than most New York Wall Street investors did on their best trades. Tony's accountant kept very thorough records. Ethel was listed as a supplier of the Guardian uniforms. The Special Task Force police investigators investigated to see if she was registered with the Taxation Department as a viable business trading in uniforms. She was not registered. This naive grandmother, whose only prior crime was to birth a stupid son, was now officially under a fully fledged police investigation. When Tony was advised that Ethel was being investigated, he sent the pretty girl from the office spy to personally tell her how sorry he was. He said if he knew she needed the paperwork, he certainly would have gotten it. His people would have gotten it for her. He posted bail for her in cash, so it could not be tracked back to him, of course. When the police searched her mortgage-free home, they did not find any uniforms on her premises, but they did find her impressive laboratory kitchen and her aprons. When they entered her heavily locked kitchen, they found the ingredients separated, labelled, and alphabetically stored. There were several sets of stainless steel measuring cups and spoons. Ethel was meticulous about the measurements and would only use stainless steel measuring devices. Her belief was that it kept her safer by minimising explosions. The police found a drawer labelled pennies. It was full of neatly ironed floral aprons. She had sewn them all by herself. Ethel was confused about something the police said. It was something about asset confiscation. What was that? Can they confiscate her home or her car? She still had not heard from her son. Did Anna think she could help locate him? As Ethel's trial was imminent, no future appointment was made. If she was not imprisoned, or if she was, once she was released from prison, they would see each other again. No, Anna couldn't visit her in jail, and probably could not save her house or find her son. If Ethel had known that Anna could not help her, she said she would not have bothered with this appointment. She left, and she was not smiling.